Welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we're zooming out and then zooming way in on the International Baccalaureate's Middle Years program. We are going to unpack the absolute latest data from the May 2025 assessment session and look ahead to the new program enhancements rolling out in 2026. If you've ever wondered how this massive global educational framework actually translates into real on-the-ground impact, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it. All right, here's our agenda for today. First, we'll look at the global reach of the MYP. Second, performance and benchmarks. Third, those 2026 program enhancements. And finally, community impact in action.
Starting right off with Section 1, the global reach of the MYP.
103,289. Seriously, let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering number of students who took part in just the May 2025 assessment session. And we're not just talking about a handful of local districts here. These kids come from 1,180 different schools scattered across 123 countries. When we talk about a global footprint, this is literally what we mean. We're looking at a framework that has successfully scaled across borders, cultures, and continents, bringing a unified standard to over 100,000 young minds at once.
And when you actually break those massive numbers down, the diversity is just incredible. Coming straight from the official May 2025 data, we've got 198 different first nationalities represented, and those students are speaking 179 different first languages. I mean, think about the cultural richness embedded in that. The MYP isn't just exporting one rigid way of thinking. It's actively integrating with all these unique linguistic and cultural backgrounds to build genuine international mindedness.
Looking at the regional split, the Americas make up the biggest chunk of the student population at 65.7%. Then you've got Africa, Europe, and the Middle East at 24.5%, and the Asia-Pacific region bringing in 9.8%. So sure, the Americas have a massive presence, but the global demand across the rest of the world is still undeniably strong.
But scale doesn't really mean much if the quality isn't there, right? So let's look at global MYP pass rates. We saw 83.3% back in 2021, 81.8% in 2023, and for this most recent May 2025 session, we hit a 79.4% pass rate. That is a seriously solid, consistent baseline of academic excellence. Hitting nearly an 80% pass rate across a population of over 100,000 kids is so impressive. It's just clear evidence that this standardized community is thriving and that students are consistently meeting the rigorous demands of the MYP no matter where they live.
Moving right along to Section 2, Performance and Global Benchmarks. Now, this is where the data gets incredibly fascinating. A recent study from the April 2026 updates actually compared MYP students against their non-IB peers using the International Schools Assessment, or the ISA. Why do we care about the ISA? Well, because its scales for math, reading, and science align perfectly with PISA benchmarks. And as you probably know, PISA is basically the global gold standard for evaluating educational systems. So this gives us a true apples-to-apples look at how MYP students stack up on the world stage.
And here is the absolute kicker, quoted perfectly in the April 2026 newsletter. MYP students' ISA scores were significantly higher than PISA benchmarks in all three subject areas. I mean, wow, that's a massive validation. Whether it's math, reading, or science, the MYP framework isn't just keeping up, it is demonstrably beating the global standard. It really proves that the inquiry-based approach we're using yields tangible, superior results when you put it to the test globally.
Okay, let's jump into Section 3, Program Enhancements for 2026. So a huge focus coming up is on the personal project. To make sure assessment stays rigorous and totally fair across the globe, the IB is launching a brand new interactive learning tool just for teachers. This update is going to give you actual marked samples straight from the May 2025 session. It breaks down lessons learned from previous years so you can avoid common pitfalls, and they're even throwing in unmarked samples for you to use as marking practice. It's all about giving you the hands-on, practical tools to make assessing these projects way more consistent and reliable.
Plus, you definitely won't be figuring this out alone. The big MYP Enhancement Transition Guide is dropping in 2026. A massive chunk of this transition focuses right in on the MYP process and planner, specifically highlighting the planning changes currently being piloted in the Enhancing the MYP project. So, moving forward, schools will really be leaning heavily on the criteria from the Evaluating the MYP Planner document to deeply refine their own structural processes. And of course, the IB Educator Network will be fully deployed to support schools through the authorization and evaluation updates, so you're totally covered.
Finally, let's hit Section 4, Community Impact in Action.
To really celebrate what all this looks like on the ground, the IB is running a global online exhibition from March all the way through November. It's a brilliant way to show off your students' community and personal projects, and getting involved is super easy. Step 1. Compile your students' projects. Step 2. Post them to your school's social media platforms. Step 3. Just tag those posts with hashtag MYPX2026. It's a fantastic, simple way to connect your local classrooms with the broader global community and celebrate those tangible outcomes.
And to show you what that impact actually looks like in real life, check out this number, 20,000. That is the number of meals that students at Northwest Middle School in Indianapolis packed for kids in Haiti. They teamed up with Kids Against Hunger and Mission of Hope and just got to work. Through their fundraising and physical effort, they made sure partner schools in Haiti had access to nutritious food. It's not just a data point, you know? It's empathy, collaboration, and global citizenship in real life. It shows exactly how the MYP empowers kids to look beyond their own bubbles and actually make a difference in the world.
Which brings us to the final thought for today's explainer. We've talked about the massive numbers, the incredible benchmark data, and the deeply inspiring local impact. So, my question for you is, how will your school's journey shape the next generation of global benchmarks? Whether it's through a student's personal project, tweaking and evaluating your MYP planner, or launching a massive community service initiative, every local action feeds into this amazing global framework. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to unpack these updates. Keep learning, keep taking action, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.